Good morning, everybody. I will take the disclaimer as read. During my presentation today, I will cover the Nestlé way to create value through sustainability leadership. I will start with a quick summary of our business and our full year 2020 results, just as a reminder. Nestlé is the largest food and beverage company in the world with annual sales of 84.3 billion Swiss francs last year. 2020 has demonstrated the agility of our business and the strength of our diversified portfolio across geographies, product categories and channels. By geography, the Americas represented 45% of total sales in 2020, and Laurent will cover those Americas in more details later on. By product category, Nestlé's portfolio is well diversified. We operate in attractive high-growth categories within the food and beverage industry, such as coffee and pet care. We are less labor and capital intensive than we were in 2015, with almost 20% less employees and 62 less factories on slightly lower sales. We are the largest investor in R&D in our industry, with annual spending of around 1.6 billion Swiss francs. Let me now give a quick overview of the full year 2020 financial highlights. We delivered another year of strong financial results. Organic growth accelerated to 3.6%, reaching the highest level in the last 5 years. The underlying trading operating profit margin improved by 20 basis points in constant currency. Our underlying EPS grew by 3.5% in constant currency, in line with our expectations. The disposals of Nestlé Skin Health, US Ice Cream and Herta had a negative impact of 3.5% on our underlying EPS growth. Return on invested capital improved to 14.7%, the sixth consecutive year of increase. It is now close to our 15% ambition. Free cash flow was 12.1% of sales. Going forward, free cash flow is expected to remain at around this level. We returned 14.5 billion Swiss francs to our shareholders through dividends and share buybacks. We also proposed a 26th consecutive increase of our dividend to 2.75 Swiss francs. Nestlé delivered improved organic growth and profitability for the third consecutive year in 2020. We landed last year close to our organic growth ambition set in 2017. We remain very much focused on this target. On margin, we already achieved our 2020 target 1 year ahead of schedule. Our midterm outlook is based on the balanced pursuit of top and bottom line growth. Our ambition is to deliver sustained mid-single-digit organic growth. The sustainability of growth matters as much as the level of growth, which we want to be at the high end of our industry. At the same time, we plan to deliver continued moderate margin improvement while taking a prudent, focused approach to capital allocation. We believe our company will be successful in the long term by creating value for both society and our shareholders. Indeed, creating shared value is part of our value creation model. Working to create value for communities and protect the environment has been the way we have been doing business for decades. We believe that business should act as a force for good. Acting on sustainability is integral to our long-term success. We recognize that as a company operating in nearly every country around the world, we have the scale, the resources, and the reach to make a positive difference. We believe sustainability will support our growth agenda as consumers increasingly expect companies and brands to act on sustainability. We can strengthen the resilience of our supply chain by supporting farmers and their communities. Our collective purpose and impact can be aspirational and help us to retain and attract a diverse talent pool. Finally, it allows us to better anticipate government regulation and policy. Now, let me talk more about our actions and ambitions. In September 2019, we pledged to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, embracing the Paris Agreement to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees. In December 2020, we outlined a comprehensive action plan, setting clear milestones on our journey to net zero. We expect to achieve a 20% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2025 and a 50% reduction by 2030. We are investing in a wide range of sustainability initiatives. As we accelerate our carbon reduction journey, we plan to spend around 3.2 billion Swiss francs over the next 5 years, of which 1.2 billion Swiss francs will be spent on regenerative agriculture. Examples include training and technical assistance provided to farmers and premiums paid for commodities using regenerative agriculture practices. Another key focus is sustainable packaging. We plan to invest around 1.5 billion Swiss francs to help create a market for food-grade recycled plastic by paying a premium for these materials. We are also working on many other solutions such as paperization, compostable materials, and monolayer plastics. In addition, we have created a 250 million Swiss francs venture fund to invest in startup companies that focus on packaging innovation, including new materials, refill systems, and recycling solutions. So far, investments have included the Closed Loop Leadership Fund, the European Circular Bioeconomy Fund, and Loop. Aside from the venture fund, our investments are expected to be mostly P&L related and may not be linear over time. Our plans and associated costs are expected to evolve and will be influenced by development in technology, solutions, and the effectiveness of projects. As I mentioned already, sustainability is now a core part of consumers' expectations. We increasingly see consumers responding to brands and products that act on sustainability. Its importance is rising across all geographies and market segments, with a stronger interest from younger consumers. Evidence shows that the majority of consumers, almost 60%, are taking sustainability into consideration in their purchasing decisions, and this is increasing fast. Some consumers are also willing to spend more for sustainability attributes, particularly in premium products. 1 in 5 consumers are eco-actives and willing to pay a premium for sustainable products. Sustainability is not only a cost, it also creates growth opportunities. It is one of the attributes that differentiates our offering alongside health and nutrition, taste, and convenience. To share some examples, we see many growth opportunities with low-carbon products which are good for you and good for the planet, such as plant-based food and drinks. We are building a portfolio of strong plant-based brands, such as Garden Gourmet and Sweet Earth. We are also launching products across our portfolio using more climate-friendly ingredients, such as meatless lasagna and plant-based pizzas. Altogether, sales of plant-based food products are close to 700 million Swiss francs with strong growth. Our science and technology capabilities are also key to drive innovation, support our sustainability agenda, and enhance our relevance with consumers. We have around 10% of our R&D scientists working on plant-based products. To accelerate the development of new and better packaging materials, we set up an Institute of Packaging Sciences, conducting cutting-edge research to ensure the safety and applicability of new materials. We are increasing the number of our carbon-neutral brands. We aim to achieve carbon neutrality for key brands like Nespresso, San Pellegrino, Garden of Life, and Garden Gourmet by 2022, and for Nestlé Waters and Sweet Earth by 2025. You may wonder what all of this means for our profitability. First and foremost, we do not expect our shareholders to pay for increased investment in sustainability. The best way to support our sustainability investments is to be at the top of our industry in both financial and commercial performance, which is what we are aiming for. Our sustainability investments are expected to be earning neutrals, primarily through structural cost efficiencies and growth leverage. We will use a similar model to generate resources, as we did over the last 4 years, allowing us to increase our investment in growth and sustainability initiatives. We have increased organic growth for 3 consecutive years, averaging 3%. At the same time, we have reduced our structural cost base by an average of 1% per annum. Structural costs amount to around 16 billion Swiss francs, representing 19% of our sales, and include fixed industrial costs, fixed distribution costs, and G&A. This model of growth leverage and cost reduction has freed up around 70 basis points of resources per annum. While some of this was reinvested behind growth initiatives, most largely flowed to the bottom line, resulting in margin expansion of close to 50 basis points per annum. Going forward, we will use a similar model. Our ambition is to accelerate our organic growth to a sustainable mid-single-digit level while keeping our structural costs around flat. Growth leverage and disciplined control of structural costs should allow us to free up similar resources to what we have generated over the last 4 years. What will change, though, is the allocation of resources, with a larger portion expected to be invested in growth and sustainability. We expect further underlying trading operating profit margin improvement, but at a more moderate pace than what we have delivered over the last few years. Now, I want to give you confidence on our resource generation model by sharing some evidence of what we have achieved over the last 4 years. In 2017, we set an ambitious target of 1.8 billion Swiss francs of yearly savings by 2020, which was later raised to between 2 and 2.5 billion Swiss francs. We more than achieved our target, delivering 2.8 billion of annual cost savings in 2020 over 2016. These savings include initiatives on both structural and variable cost, with the latter coming especially from procurement. In manufacturing, we reduced our footprint by 27 factories, excluding divestitures. We reduced our fixed factory overheads by 6% per annum in Swiss francs and improved the efficiency of our production lines by 10 percentage points. In procurement, we increased buying at a global level, and this now accounts for 63% of our total procurement in 2020. This allows us to better leverage our scale. We standardized 26% of specifications for raw materials and ingredients, generating hundreds of millions of savings with a lower number of recipes. We are also using less suppliers. As an example, the number of print and point-of-sales agencies is now 68% lower than in 2016. In administration, we reduced our global head office costs by 20%. We also generated annual savings of around 200 million Swiss francs from site consolidation across over 400 projects. Finally, we almost doubled the penetration of our shared service center to 33%. We see a lot of potential for further cost savings going forward. We expect the level of savings to be similar to what we have achieved over the last 4 years. Within manufacturing, we will continue our disciplined control of fixed factory overheads based on continuous optimization of our manufacturing footprint and digital technologies. Each zone has specific plans to further improve production line utilization. In addition, we expect to generate material savings as our manufacturing footprint evolves to be more category-focused and less market-focused. The proportion of our manufacturing that is globally managed by category will increase, with a higher number of dedicated plants supplying multiple markets. Within procurement, we will continue to standardize raw material specifications. We see a similar opportunity when it comes to packaging material and expect to generate hundreds of millions of annual savings. We expect to use 40% fewer marketing suppliers by 2023. Within administration, we are a firm believer in the value that artificial intelligence, automation, and analytics can unlock. Our experience during COVID-19 has demonstrated that these investments will boost productivity by empowering our people to make real-time and data-supported decisions. We will continue to reduce real estate costs and to accelerate the disposal of idle properties. We are confident that such initiatives, combined with operating leverage, should enable us to invest behind growth and sustainability. This will involve some restructuring costs, but not to the same extent as what we have seen between 2016 and 2019. To conclude, sustainability has been core to the way we do business for a long time and is a key driver to deliver long-term profitable growth. We expect our investments in sustainability to be earnings neutral. Over the last 4 years, we have successfully increased our margin through cost reduction and growth leverage, we plan to follow a similar model going forward. The resources we free up are expected to be largely reinvested in growth and sustainability. Some resources are expected to continue to flow to the bottom line with moderate margin improvement. Thank you for listening, and I now hand over to Laurent.
Thank you, François. It's a pleasure to be with you today and to walk you through Zone America's sustainable value creation strategy. Let me highlight first the fact that Zone Americas is a very good proxy for Nestlé as a whole. The zone accounts for more than 40% of the group, top line and bottom line. We enjoy very strong positions with 87% of our sales as a market leader. We got a huge business in North America, as you know, but we also got a sizable LATAM business with 10 billion in sales. I would like to highlight one point important in current times, which is the resilience of our supply chain. With 80% of what we procure sourced locally and with a manufacturing network designed essentially local for local. More than 90% of what we sell is manufactured locally. It's a huge advantage in times of restrictions to international trade. When it comes to the categories, pet care is the largest, but we got as well sizable dairy, food, coffee, and nutrition businesses. All of this built upon a dozen of power brands in coffee, in pet care, nutrition, and food, and next to them, some iconic local jewels. The momentum in top and bottom line is very strong for the zone. If we exclude the water business and look at the perimeter vision 2021, it's a 6.3% organic growth achieved in 2020 and 135 basis points bottom line improvement in the last 3 years. And we are performing while we are transforming. Thanks to an active portfolio management, we have significantly increased our exposure to high growth categories. We have expanded our factory network with projects in pet care, in coffee, in frozen food, to be able to capture current and future growth opportunities. And we are constantly improving our distribution network, the latest impactful project being the transformation of our DSD system for frozen food in the US to a warehouse model. And we are investing to be increasingly a modern, agile, and connected organization able to manage in real time. And we are also improving constantly our environmental footprint. All of this, while at the same time, we are managing the COVID crisis. We keep our people safe. That's number one priority. We maintain the continuity of our supply. It is critical as we are an important part of the food chain, and we support our communities through partnerships like the one we got with the Red Cross or like the ones we got with the food banks. The momentum is there for our business in Zone Americas, and my objective is to keep it up and fuel this momentum. This is the focus of our strategic framework. It is to drive a strategic virtuous circle of sustainable and profitable growth with sustainability at its core, as you can see it. And it starts with a laser focus on efficiencies, on war on waste across the value chain. This focus has brought a decisive contribution to the group cost reduction initiative through major transformational projects across the organization, from head offices to distribution networks. And we will keep this focus going forward, as this is the fuel for investments, as this is the fuel for the growth. Growth requires investments. Indeed, investments are essential to growth acceleration. Investments in brands and in innovation, investments in manufacturing with a number of new factories in the making, greenfields or brownfields, investment in data and in technology to support our growth in e-commerce and to make our focus on customization at scale a reality, and also, of course, investments in sustainability. The way we look at sustainability is from farm to fork and beyond, as the end of life of our products matters and as circular business models offer new opportunities to make our business more sustainable. I would like to highlight a few examples, starting with one initiative which is benefiting everyone across the supply chain, maybe with one exception, the packaging suppliers. But consumers benefit, customers benefit, Nestlé, the planet benefits, again, exception, the packaging suppliers. We have the plan to reduce the amount of packaging we use to just what we need. It is about removing the headspace. It is about removing the unnecessary extra packaging where relevant. With this Fit for Purpose initiative, we plan to reduce 30,000 tons of packaging material and reduce by 100 million our packaging costs. We are also supporting the development of new infrastructures, and there is a lot to do, in particular in the US, which is lagging behind, when it comes to recycling. We are also investing in renewable energy infrastructures to contribute to our 2025 ambition of achieving 100% renewable energy usage. We are also investing and contributing actively to the development of new circular business models like Loop, wherever available, or like Algramo in Chile. For a branded goods company like Nestlé, consumer engagement is of course of the essence, and this is done through our brands. Many of our brands have already taken the commitment to be carbon neutral in the years to come. We are also communicating on our plans to source our key commodities sustainably, coffee, cocoa, and dairy in particular. We are also investing to nudge the right consumer behaviors. Consumers, by their choices and by their behaviors, are critical actors of the sustainability transformation. And of course, sustainability is a source of inspiration for our innovation pipeline, both in terms of new products through plant-based offerings or through new delivery systems and new business models. As a conclusion, I just would like to highlight a few critical points with this key message that we perform while we transform. Nestlé has a strong ability to win across the Americas. The zone is a key contributor to the group. We are accelerating while we are transforming the business for the long term. We are investing to fuel the growth, and sustainability is at the core of our strategic framework.